What is going on, everybody? Jonathan here with Gig Nation, and today something kind of wild has happened. I opened my email inbox and saw two new emails, one from Caviar and one from DoorDash. Now, I actually just did my first delivery with Caviar about a month ago, so I was kind of new to the platform and I was really excited about it because I like the pay model and it seems like they really take care of their drivers. So when I opened up these emails and it was apparent that DoorDash was acquiring Caviar, I was a little bit disappointed. I've got to say, this definitely falls under the category of bad news, which has become an increasingly popular category with my DoorDash videos. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what I saw in the emails and then explain a little bit about why this is bad news and why this could potentially be bad for drivers and kind of hurt our paychecks. So the first email that I opened was this Caviar email, and they basically do a quick introduction to this acquisition and let us couriers know that DoorDash has just bought Caviar, and basically Caviar is going to be joining that team, the team of the fastest growing delivery company in the nation. And Caviar is obviously excited about this, but I don't think drivers are as excited. Now, the platforms are going to remain two individual platforms for the time being. The deal has not closed yet, so Caviar's pay model will remain the same. And in a minute here, I'm going to compare Caviar's pay model with DoorDash's pay model, so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about when I say that this might be bad news. But first, let's pull up that DoorDash email and see what their side is, because they seem to be really excited about this acquisition as well. And according to the DoorDash email, it's two companies joining forces, and apparently both of them care a ton about their drivers. Now, in my opinion, Caviar cares quite a bit more about their drivers than DoorDash does, so this could be problematic for Caviar couriers for a couple of reasons. So let's first hop into that DoorDash pay model and see what it looks like. Now, as you can see, DoorDash has a minimum payout of $1 per delivery. So when you accept a DoorDash order in your market, you may have a minimum of $5, $6, or $7. They'll have some minimum guarantee that you're going to get paid out for that delivery, so you know exactly what you're going to make. But the actual DoorDash pay on that delivery is only $1. So the other pay that comes in between that $1 and your $5 or $6 or $7 payout is usually based on tips. Now, this makes for consistent delivery payouts. You know, you're getting that $5, $6, or $7, but you rarely ever get more than that. So if a customer, let's say they tip you $10, it's kind of rare to see that additional payout that's above your minimum guarantee. It does happen occasionally on the DoorDash platform, but it's much more common in other platforms that actually set minimums at, $5, $6, or $7 per delivery and then pay out the tip on top of that. And that's a lot more what the Caviar pay model looks like. So let's take a dive into that model real quick. So we're taking a look at a Caviar delivery that I did a while back. It was a pizza delivery in Wedgwood, and essentially how that worked was it was an $8 payout, but then I was also tipped the additional customer tip of about $5.40 on top of that. So that $8 payout, it's the delivery fee, the mileage backing, and then if there's any sort of bonuses that you're also eligible for, in your region during that time period, then those can also be added on to your base delivery fee. And that is separate from the tip, which is what drivers really like to see, because they're getting a good payout already, and then if they do get tipped, it's a bonus on top of that. And as you can see, it's very different from the DoorDash pay model, because DoorDash will only compensate its drivers more than that $1 if the customer doesn't leave a tip. So that minimum guarantee that you see of $5, $6, or $7 per order, DoorDash is only paying $1 out of their pockets. Now, if a customer doesn't tip, they may also use some of their own money to pay out for that delivery. But most of the time, they're just funding your delivery payout with the customer tips. So it's not really an added bonus. The only way that you can think of a customer tip as an added bonus on the DoorDash platform is if you assume that you're only getting paid $1 per delivery. And under that assumption, your time is not that valuable. You're just not getting paid that much on the DoorDash platform. So this acquisition is really bad news for delivery drivers. We don't want to see this kind of consolidation because competition is good. Other apps can kind of create better pay models to see if they can pull some drivers onto their app instead. Now, obviously it's beneficial for DoorDash because they don't like this competition. They don't like other people stealing their drivers. They don't like having drivers multi-apping. They want to own as many apps as possible. And recently I also released a video about Amazon Flex. They had opened up a bunch of Amazon restaurants and were essentially allowing Flex drivers to do instant offers, paying out really well. Like, you could sometimes see a $25 payout on a single pickup with the Amazon Flex instant offers. But they had to close this segment of their business down because they could not compete with the likes of DoorDash. And what we're seeing is massive consolidation in this industry. It's beginning to look like there's only a few platforms left, and most of those platforms don't have favorable pay models. DoorDash is obviously one of them. Postmates is another, and most people would tell you that Postmates has a pretty unfavorable pay model. Most people would say that a lot of people would say that it's worse than DoorDash. Some people do like it better because if you get tipped a lot, you do get to keep all of those tips, but their minimum payout in a lot of places is actually even lower than DoorDash. So that's not really a good alternative. And then, the third big one is Grubhub. Grubhub I personally do like a lot, but we've seen lately that they've had to make changes in their pay model to stay competitive, and they're starting to look a little bit more like DoorDash. So all of this for drivers just is not good news. It's not good to see DoorDash winning like this. And they have recently announced that they're updating their pay model because people were complaining about tips. And I'd love to kind of sit here and say, yeah, DoorDash is updating their pay model. Things are going to change for the better because they've heard all of these complaints. They've heard the arguments that they need to be giving us our tips, but there's a lot of opinion out there that this pay model is not going to be a positive change. Most people are expecting the guaranteed payout to be lower, and then tipping transparency will come through, but at the expense of our minimum guarantees, at the expense of that minimum payout. So overall, as an industry, this is definitely something to be concerned about. DoorDash seems to be kind of dominating this industry in a similar fashion that Uber dominates the rideshare industry, and we've kind of seen how that has affected wages and rates that drivers get in the rideshare industry. When ride sharing initially started, there was a lot of drivers talking about making $70,000, $80,000 a year in some markets, and this wasn't fake news. There was actually drivers in highly dense markets doing really well. Like, there were areas with surge pricing and prime time that you could get really good payouts, and if you did it full time, you could actually make a living out of it. But that's no longer a thing. Rate cuts and wage cuts have made it more difficult for Uber drivers, and unfortunately, we're seeing this happen in a similar fashion in the food delivery market. If you work for Caviar or you've ever done any deliveries, let me know down in the comment section. Give some opinion about what it was like delivering for Caviar. I have done it here in Seattle. It's definitely a niche competitor. Caviar doesn't give you a ton of orders. It's a nice multi-app to have out there. If you're working for DoorDash in the past, it was nice to also run Caviar and take one of those orders when it came, but it wasn't extremely populated. They didn't have a ton of the consumer base. So it was definitely, it was a niche thing. It's not entirely relevant to a lot of people, but just the theme and the trend behind this acquisition isn't really a positive one. So make sure you go ahead and leave your opinion down below. And if you found this useful, then go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more gig economy and rideshare updates.